Good day, everybody, and once again we are back together. All right, so we are looking at question 9.2. Let's dive into it. So please, if you haven't subscribed, just make sure you're part of the family. All right, so they say to us we've got a chord with a length of 200 millimeters. So I'm going to draw the circle. Okay, so they say we've got a chord. So there's our chord over there. Right, and they say the length of that chord is 200 millimeters. Okay, so there it is there. And they say divides a circle with a diameter of 36 centimeters into two segments. Calculate the heights of the segments. So when we've got a chord, what it usually does is that it divides a circle into two segments. So usually this is what we call the major segment. Okay, that's the bigger portion, okay, of your circle. And this guy would be called your minor segment. Okay, right. So they want us to determine what would be the height of each segment. And ladies and gents, I'm going to show you just a formula that we normally use. But I'm also going to show you another way that you would be able to determine this if perhaps you didn't know this formula. Right, so the height of the first segment is that guy here, okay? And the height of the second segment is this guy over here, okay? So let's say that's going to be the other h. Now, remember what they said. They told us that the diameter, okay, would be equal to 36 centimeters. So meaning that if we had a radius, we know that our radius would be equal to its diameter divided by 2, and that's simply going to be 18 centimeters, right? That's 36 divided by 2. Okay, so the radius would be diameter divided by 2, so that would be 36 divided by 2, that would give us 18 centimeters, right? Now, we've got a formula that we use normally when we want that diameter. It's a simple, straightforward formula. You just need to remember it, right? And what it simply says is, well, the length of your chord is 20 centimeters. Okay, that's what we had said. Rather 200 millimeters, rather. Okay. So what I want us to do is to have them both in centimeters so that they are, we use the same unit. So to move from millimeters to centimeters, I am going to divide that by 10, okay? Right? So that means that my length, okay, so we usually term that x. That's going to be 200 millimeters divided by 10, okay? And so that will give me 20 centimeters. So both my dimensions are now in centimeters, right? So now what we're going to do is use a formula. And the formula is as simple as this: 4h squared minus 4dh plus x squared is equal to 0. So note, in this case, h is the height, okay, in each segment, and we've got x as the length of your chord, right? So I'm going to say this is going to give me 4h squared minus 4 times my d value is 36 multiplied by h, that's plus 20 centimeters, so that's 20 squared is equal to 0. Okay, right, so we're going to substitute what we know. Okay, so that's 4h squared minus 4 times 36. In fact, let's write it out in full. In fact, we could even divide that by 4, right? And let's say 4 times 36 h plus 400. Right, 20 squared will be 400. And if I divide by 4, I'll be left with h squared minus 36h plus 100 is equal to 0. And of course, we can use now our quadratic formula. So h would be equal to, so which means our a value is 1, our b is negative 36, and our c value is 100. So we're going to say h would be minus b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Right, so that's minus a negative 36. That's plus minus the square root of negative 36 squared minus 4 times 1 times c, which is 100. And this is divided by 2 times our a value is 1 already. Right, and so we're going to use our quadratic formula. That's minus negative 36, so you already know that's going to be a positive. Okay, I'm going to say plus the square root of 36 squared minus 4 times 100. Okay, and this is divided by 2. Okay, my first value, 33.97, or 32 rather, 0.97. Remember, this would be in centimeters, or h would be, so I would need to put a minus sign there. I get a value 3.03 centimeters. Okay, and so that's how I would get that value. But just in case, guys, you didn't know this formula, what I would do is, and I want you to really think about this. So if I'm looking at that h over there, right? Or let me rather use this one over here, right? Let's assume h is this value here. Okay, now I want you to note from the center to the circumference, that would be the value of the radius. Okay, and if I know this value is h, then what would be this smaller value over here? Okay, so that would be 18 centimeters minus h. Okay, so that would be 18 minus h. Okay, right, but what do I know? If I draw a line from the center, and in this case it bisects, or rather it's perpendicular to a chord, then Euclidean geometry says, well, then it will bisect that chord. So if that entire chord was 200, remember it was 200 millimeters, but we said it's equal to 20 centimeters. So meaning once I divide it by 2, it becomes 10 centimeters. Okay. Now I can work out what the value of h is. So that means I'm going to use the theorem of Pythagoras and say, well, my radius squared plus, right? That's going to be equal to 10 squared plus 18 minus h all squared. So r squared is equal to 10 squared plus 18 minus h squared. Right, and what do I know? This value here is 18. Okay, so 18 squared minus 10 squared. Where's my calculator? Okay, sorry about that. So that's 18 squared minus 10 squared. Okay, and that gives me 224. This is equal to 18 minus h all squared. And if I take the square root on either side, okay, the square root of our answer, okay, so I've got 4 root of 14, and this would be 18 minus h. Okay, right, and of course you've got plus or minus, isn't it? So if I take, right, so what I'm going to do is take the 18 to the other side. Now, remember, you cannot have a negative value for h, right? So I've got negative h this side. I've got 4 root 14, or I can say the square root of 2 to 4 minus 18. I get negative 3.03. Okay. And the other value, right, remember it's plus or minus. So I'll have negative square root of 2 to 4. That's minus 18. Okay, and you get that value. H is equal to 32.97. Okay, centimeters. So that's another way that you can approach it. You can approach it from a very practical perspective, but either way, you still get to the same answer. All right, so you just use the Pythagorean theorem for you to be able to derive that. I hope that it's been clear, right? So we are going to be doing the very last question, so please look out for it. For now, I'll see you guys next time. Sharp, sharp.